Okay, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight we have a presentation that's going to be made by the Canadian Volunteer Fire Service, and Mark Pan from, where is it? Kentville Fire Department going to present the awards for tonight.
It's truly an honor to stand here before you today on behalf of the Canadian Volunteer Fire Service Association to present one of the most prestigious recognitions of our organization, the Lifetime Achievement Award. This year, we are proud to celebrate an exceptional individual whose dedication, service, and leadership have left an indelible mark on the volunteer fire service community. Please join me in congratulating the 2024 recipient, Reed Wynot of the Bridgewater Fire Department. Reed's career in the fire service is nothing short of extraordinary. With 50 years of service, his unwavering commitment to protecting his community and mentoring the next generation of firefighters embodies the very spirit of volunteerism. Reed has not only responded to countless emergencies, but has also been instrumental in shaping the culture of safety, camaraderie, and excellence within the Bridgewater Fire Department. Throughout his tenure, Reed has demonstrated a passion for sharing his knowledge and expertise. From training new recruits to enhancing operational protocols, he's ensured that the legacy of the Bridgewater Fire Department is one of resilience and readiness. His mentorship has inspired many to follow in his footsteps, fostering a stronger, more connected fire service community. Reed's contributions extend beyond his department. His leadership and advocacy for volunteer fire service have made a lasting impact on our collective mission to safeguard communities across Canada. He exemplifies what it means to serve selflessly, and his dedication reminds us all why we choose this path. We would like to express our sincere gratitude to Makita for their support of this award. As a valued partner, Makita's commitment to recognizing the outstanding contributions of individuals like Reed is a testament to their belief in the power of community and volunteerism. Their sponsorship ensures that we can continue to honor those who have given so much to protect and serve. All the tools on the table are a donation from Makita to the recipient's department. Reed, as you accept this Lifetime Achievement Award, know that your impact reaches far beyond the walls of your fire hall. Your leadership, dedication, and compassion have touched countless lives, and your legacy will inspire future generations of volunteer firefighters. This is the first year that we'll be giving a large coin for Reed to keep, and it's got his name engraved on it with the year, as well as now this is one of only 15 coins like this, a keeper coin or pocket coin that he can have as well. On behalf of the Canadian Volunteer Fire Service Association, the Bridgewater Fire Department, and the many communities you have served, thank you for extraordinary service. Congratulations, Reed, on this well-deserved recognition. Please join me in a round of applause as we celebrate the remarkable achievements of Reed Wynot.
welcome to our official stamp cancellation for the town of Bridgewater. And, glad to see everybody's here.
I just like, well, first of all, thank you everyone for coming out to this on our birthday, 125 years. It's something quite special for the town. And I wanna thank the South Shore Stamp Club for this the stamp cancellation, right? Is that the pictorial stamp cancellation?
Yes.
I have in my pocket the last one that I keep in my office at Town Hall from 2017, where we had the one for Bijanuiska Park, which also has the nice stamp on it for the park. So I have a couple of these that are on display, so whenever I'm meeting with developers or business people interested in coming to our town to start a new business, this is one of the things they see. And so to mark our 125th birthday with another, I find these, obviously they're unique, but they're also very special. I think it's very fitting. So thank you all for putting this together and for being here today.
Anyways, thank you everybody for coming for our Bridgewater 125. And the Philatelic Society has asked us to produce a cancellation commemorating this event, so which we have done, and it's turned out with very positive reviews. And Canada Post is really pleased to be involved with supporting Philatelic Society and Bridgewater. So of course, it's just been a great time. So the cancel is officially released as of right now, and please take part in some of the festivities. We have coffee, tea, donuts, anything you folks like. So thank you very much.
Thank you for all your effort.
Yeah.
Thanks, folks.
I'm Amanda Fancy. I'm the dealer owner of Gauss Home Hardware and Furniture. We've been at this location for about a year. We started in 1848, way back when. This is our 5th location, so you know, we've never have left the town limits. So we're looking to build this location. You know, we had lots of opportunity to potentially look at you know, outside of the town limits, but it was really key for us to be and continue to be a growing business in Bridgewater. Bridgewater, Nova Scotia is unique. We have a beautiful countryside. Our town is 7,500 people, but then, you know, our customer reach is about 45,000. So, you know, we're talking about lots of small communities, you know, hidden treasures. There's huge opportunity here, and I think that it's certainly worthwhile to make the visit, make the call, do some inquiring, because it certainly is somewhere where I think there would be some you know, strong investment opportunities for sure.
My name is Joey Richard. I come from Quebec, Montreal. I've studied opera at the Montreal Conservatoire of Music, so this is where I've learned about Italian, the language, and the food. And my passion just became bigger and bigger for food. I've been cooking for 20 years, almost. I opened a family business, but the only thing I forgot is that my family is still in Montreal, so I'm like, you know, I make new friends, I'm building this thing, but it is a family business here. My chef is like my brother, his wife is like my sister, so I mean, I recreated a family environment. We do the real recipes, starting from the real ingredients, and for Italian food, what the secret is, few ingredients and very fresh. So each recipe would be like 3.
All right, good evening, everyone. I will call this regularly scheduled meeting of Bridgewater Town Council to order, and as always, the town of Bridgewater is located in Mi'kma'ki, the unceded and ancestral territory of the Mi'kmaq people, and it continues to be our privilege to be here. The agenda has been circulated. Are there any errors or omissions? Anything to add? No, hearing none. Motion to approve the agenda is circulated. Councillor Newell, seconded by Councillor Wynot. All those in favor? Those opposed? Motion is carried. Any announcements from members of council? Councillor Wynot?
It's more, not an announcement, just want to recognize the emergency efforts in the river today.
Yeah.
I know it was a tough day for the town and certainly a family that would be involved by that, but want to thank our emergency response teams that did a good job getting out there today.
Yeah, both in town and those assisting through mutual aid from other fire departments, so appreciate that, and coordination of efforts and equipment, so yeah, and so our thoughts as a council and as a community are with the friends and loved ones of the individual. Other announcements, Councillor Newell?
Yeah, I will express, I think, on behalf of all the events committee, thank you to everyone who came out on Canada Day. We had an amazing turnout at the LCLC. Words cannot describe how amazing it was, and it was great to be in an air-conditioned building all day, as I'm sure all the volunteers can attest, and certainly all the family and folks that came out, they really enjoyed it. And I suppose express some congratulations. I know our deputy mayor attended the grand opening of Meza, who opened up recently, and so it's always great to have a new business in town. So,
Yeah, lots of new business, more options for food, which isn't helping my waistline, but you know, I can walk to them at least and try to cancel that out. So yes, congratulations to them. And Pride Parade was successful, thanks to town staff and council that walked in that, and for the organizers for that. So, and in a few short weeks, here we go again. We have the exhibition is back, and the Big X Parade will be taking place, and folks should just keep an eye on the route. It's the changed route that we use for the Pride Parade. So, not down Empire at the top, cutting across York and then down. So that'll all be publicized, and yeah, looking forward to that. Hopefully a little cooler that day. It was quite warm on in that last parade. Anything else from members of council?
Yeah,
Councilor Conklin.
heck yeah. Speaking of pride, I'd just like to recognize that our mayor made his TikTok social media debut at the Pride flag raising event this past Tuesday, past week, yes. Anyway, check them out. What is it, Lunenburg Pride?
Yeah.
At Lunenburg Pride on Instagram and TikTok. It's a great reel. And he has a hidden talent that I hope it stays hidden.
Yes, I mean.
No, actually, he did very well. And it was like, what do you have, 10 seconds of training?
Yeah, and I can only remember 5 seconds of it. So my hidden talent is remembering half of a dance routine. So thanks for that.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was great.
Yeah, way to build up what will surely be disappointing for a lot of people. No, thank you, and thanks for coming to the flag raising as well, and to Councillor Frigier as well. Anything else from council? Hearing none, we are down to delegations, and we are joined by Karim George virtually. Thanks for joining us, Karim. So just a reminder that delegations have 10 minutes to speak to council, not including any questions that council may have, and also that council doesn't, on the same night that there's a delegation, council generally does not make decisions. We take the information and gives us time to have questions asked of the presenter or of staff, and then we return and get back to the person presenting. But Mr. George, the floor is yours.
Yep. Mayor, if I could declare a conflict of interest,
Yes.
please. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. All right, Karim, go ahead. We're just having a little bit of a technology issue. Just give us 1 second. It's just circulating. It started with the deputy mayor's, or with the Cheryl's computer, and it's working its way around. If you're gonna have a computer problem, please have it now.
Someone call Lisa.
Oh. That's quite the delay. Yeah.
That's quite the delay. Yeah.
Would now be a good time to screen that TikTok?
Not sure there is a good time.
Maybe it's in like the closing, like a closing feed that Pat can put on.
It'd be in the preamble with the Bridgewater song.
There you go. I like that.
All right, Grim, try now. No, we've still got no sound coming through from you on your end. All right, how do we?
Just 1 second.
Yeah. Try again.
All right, now try. And still
No.
nothing.
All right. Okay.
Okay.
So, yeah. Do you, so we can do a couple things. I know you have to go, Karim, at a certain time because you have an obligation.
Yeah.
So,
Want me to?
I have 20 minutes.
There we go.
oh, now we can hear you.
Success.
Perfect. Do you hear me?
Yes, you go ahead now.
Okay, I'm gonna start right away before it goes bad again. So thank you so much for allowing me to attend virtually and second meeting in a row. I just sent a letter to you, the councillor, to look at a small issue that I've been dealing with, but this issue keep growing up, and I don't really know how I can fix it. The staff did their really best to accommodate, which is I appreciate, but I'm dealing again with time-sensitive issues. As I indicated in the letter, I purchased this land. I thought I'm going to start building. Now there is a delay. It's going to impact, impacting everything. There is a loan on it now, a construction loan. The materials is there. All what I am hoping for to expedite the process and move forward with the solution for the issue little bit sooner than the staff recommending, because I understand also they have a lot of things to do, but if we did not fix this issue sooner, that is going to take us or take me to the winter construction, which is it will have a different implications. I wasn't aware until today that no decision would be made today, unfortunately. If I knew that, I would never submit it. I thought this is something that the councillor can help, because it's not my fault. By the end of the day, when I purchased those lots, in the surveying, that was missed. So now, my understanding is the next council meeting is 1 month from today, which is not going to help. So I will leave it in your hand. I wasn't aware that you cannot make a decision today. You have to push it. But again, if we can prioritize it, that would be great. If we can't, I have to deal with a lot of financial implications, which is I already start to the CEO about it. And once I have a solid number, I will be able to share with her about the financial implications that I have been accorded until today and what's going to happen for further delay, because I'm paying interest right now on every single day. Very simple. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Graham. I don't know if you want to add to the
Yeah, so the lot in question is lot
23.
Well, lot 23 on Glen Allen, and so if council remembers, council sold 3 lots to Crim George and reserved out a little bit of a right-of-way so that we could put a future road in there, so it's not too far down from Etna. 2 of the lots are elevation's been changed, and they're working towards building on those. And the 3rd lot, which is closest to the entryway into... So it's not too far down from... The 2 of the lots are elevation's been changed, and they're working towards building on those. And the 3rd lot, which is closest to the entryway into... So it's not too far down from... The 2 of the lots are elevation's been changed, and they're working towards building on those. Okay, so the 3rd lot is closest to the driveway entrance into the Baptist Church in Drumlin Hills in the back. And that's the lot in question. So when the lot was sold, there was a culvert on the lot that we weren't aware of when we sold it. But it's there, it's connected to our system, our storm system. And engineering has advised that removing or closing that in would create an issue for flooding in the future for lots and behind, and in particular and behind this lot as well. So it will perform a function, especially since land levels are being altered. So it wasn't picked up during the survey, so it was a bit of a surprise when it was identified. So we've identified that we can remediate that by moving it, but that requires we move it closer to the lot line, requires that we get an easement from both Crim, which is no problem, but also from the owners of the adjacent property where the Baptist Church entranceway goes in. So we're working towards that, but without that, we're not digging on land that we don't have the right to dig on. So staff have ordered the pipe, which is required to, or the culvert, which is required to extend the manhole, which is at the front of the lot, to the back of the lot line to change the drainage location and pick up water before it comes onto the lot. And the manhole is on order, and that takes about a 3 to 4 week time before it comes in. So we can't put material in that we don't have. And we will, when that material comes, in the 3 to 4 weeks for the timeframe for the manhole to arrive, we will then arrange public works. So when I talked to our Director of Engineering, we felt that it would probably be towards the end of August, given that we're July 14 right now, and that material has to come in. So when we get that in, we'll get our public works crew to go in, install the culvert, and put that in as quick as we can. But without that material, we need, or the easement, we're kind of moving it as fast as we can, but those two things really have to come into place first, so.
Right, so in terms of, Mr. George is asking us to prioritize it, but we're going as fast as we can in terms of the material's not here.
Yeah,
So-
the next part is the public works crew and getting them organized to come on site, so pending any emergencies. So emergency work obviously is going to take precedent, but so if we have no emergencies, we'll schedule them to be on site when we get the materials in.
Okay, I don't know, does council have any questions? Deputy Mayor?
Do we have a date that we expect the materials to arrive?
Welcome Mr. Davidson down.
The staff reviewed the situation and came up with a preliminary design of the materials we're ordered on. Normally manholes, because it's not just a manhole it's directional, so they're custom ordered, and it's a small order, so 3 to 4 weeks is what we typically see for a manhole of that nature. They may be able to batch it with something else to go a little quicker, but usually I quote 3 or 4 weeks on manholes of that nature.
The culvert's in now.
Yeah, the culvert we did receive, and that's pretty quick order.
Yep.
So if you ordered those supplies, I think a week ago, right? So we're about 2 weeks out?
I didn't call the supplier to date, but I do know that they normally quote 3 or 4
So
weeks.
2 to 3 weeks out.
Yeah. So at this point, and then we have jobs that, as I explained to the CAO, that we would need to finish up to make safe whatever we're doing in that time, and then we would schedule work. Does require traffic control that we would have to set up with our with a company then, and make sure the easement's in place. That should give enough time for that, and then we can start the work. So that's why I said that my worst case would be the end of August, but hopefully we can do sooner. I'd rather set the bar low than come in here and say it's going to be in 2 weeks' time and something come up.
But going as quickly as you can based on the material and staffing availability.
The main thing is the manhole, which we're subject to a supplier for that.
Yeah. Okay, thank
We
you.
don't have any in stock, in other words.
No, we don't keep
No.
any manholes of that nature in stock. If we do, they're called the 180, it's a straight in and out. These ones require a bend, so the bench, the actual base needs to be built or formed, and then the sections that go on top are the standard. It's the base section that we need.
Thank you. Councillor Conklin.
I'm kind of surprised. Like, so should we know where all these culverts are, or catch basins, or how did this get missed? Or did we just not record it when we installed it?
It wasn't picked up on the plan of survey, and that's typically where you would see those things. Surveyors typically locate that. It was hidden in bushes, and it wasn't revealed to the development officer when the agreement of purchase and sale was made. It went through the departments, and no one picked it up.
So, like, do we have,
Inventory?
even regardless of having each, site surveyed, would we have like a database or some sort of
Like a
record
master plan?
of what we have?
So in this case, to sum it up, there is an internal communications process that the CAO is trying to address to make sure that if there's sales happening, that each department is being consulted with, so that these matters don't happen again.
In this case, they were, but it was still missed.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
We do have
Yeah.
as-bills
Yeah.
on the first floor.
And the other thing is that with the parcel, one of the things that we do, because sometimes these things do happen, is we sell as is, where is. So there's a little bit of a due diligence piece too, right? So all the way around, this manhole wasn't located by anyone on site until site work, I believe, was underway, and a lot of that underbrush and
You
and
couldn't
stuff
see
got
it from the
removed.
road.
Yeah,
It was
it wasn't
forged.
visible.
No.
Yeah, okay. And, oh, sorry. And just, I don't want to comment for the, for the business here, but I'm assuming then either the terms of the sale would have been different, or maybe that lot would have been excluded, or the timing of the sale. I guess all of the logistics involved with purchasing the land would have been different.
Well, I think the scheduling
Knowing
of,
that, yeah.
probably would have been more awareness in terms of that being a barrier to the site alteration that wanted to be done and the placement of the building. So there's been, like, it's being relocated, like, it might have been planned around a bit differently. Yeah.
Yeah, gotcha, thanks.
Deputy Mayor?
So just want to understand, though, that land floods now because it's not in use and
Staff have done an assessment. The biggest thing with that is that it doesn't, it's beautiful today, thank God. So we've done an assessment, it is required. The other part to that is it is a low-lying area, so if the proponent fills in the lot, there will be flooding on what will be town land. So it creating an issue, but also the fact that that is our entrance of stormwater from that development that has yet to be built. So I call it Etna 2, like the road that will go up there. So without having that as an entrance point for a storm sewer, it may impact the design of that future road. So we've got to have that, we have to have that option available to us. If determined then during design, we no longer need it, then we can abandon it, but we don't have that design completed for that road. That was part of the master plan.
are you saying we may do this and then abandon it?
It depending on the design of that street
Which is, could be years out.
that we do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not unusual, just because
Yeah.
things develop differently. Even now, the types of homes you develop are different than they were 20 years ago, right?
So it depends on how if we sell that land to a developer, how they want to infill that land, so if it remains a low area or they may completely fill it in. So it's hard to know whether that requires to be an access for a storm sewer or if we can design an alternate at the time.
So the request from Mr. George, though, is to prioritize it and to, so from what I'm hearing, correct me if I'm wrong, is staff are doing the best they can to do it as quickly as they can, based on getting the material here and then.
Yeah, and I would say that staff have been on site numerous times with Mr. George, both Jonathan, Nick, and we've been trying, again, there's another party involved, which is the adjacent owner, so there's those pieces to it too, that their timelines are theirs, not necessarily ours. So we have to work within all of that, but what was within our control, we are moving as fast as we can. Yeah.
Okay, further questions? Councilor Newell?
Is this feedback we can send back to the surveyor and say, hey, you kind of missed this. Can we make sure this doesn't happen again? Can we be more careful?
Yeah, I probably shouldn't comment on that.
Fair enough.
But to say that typically, if may not have been visible, I can't explain why it wasn't shown, just that typically those things do get picked up. Just like you'll see edges of driveway, edge of grassed area, different things like that get shown. I'm not too sure what the circumstances were around this and why it wasn't picked up.
But there's two parts to this, right? So we probably should have been on a survey, but also the lot is sold as is. So there is a bit of a responsibility on any purchaser to see if there's anything there that's going to get in the way. But we'll work as quickly as we can with.
But there is no record. There is no record. So how the purchaser verify or go through the due diligence without a record?
So you didn't, when you walked the property before you bought it, you didn't notice the culvert either?
No. So I think it's all about the record. It's not about, because same thing, if the surveyor couldn't see it, I will not be able to see it. And it was hidden, to be honest with you. It was just surrounded by trees. So I think it will come down to the record, Councillor Mike says, where is the record? But again, I'm not the engineer. Again, I keep saying I'm not the engineer every meeting. I will leave this to the engineer because they are more expert than I do. And right now, I am dealing with business problems and financial problems. Hopefully, it's not increasing day after day, because at that point, and I have absolutely no problem to show the councillor or anybody from the town that I am paying interest every single day on that piece of land.
Thank you. Any other questions from council? Okay. All right. I don't know, Karen, if you have anything else to add?
No, I don't really have anything. I'm just, again, I don't understand the timing. I met with the town staff on Monday after our meeting, and the CEO mentioned that 2 to 3 weeks on Monday. So today is Monday. So now it's 3 to 4 weeks. So again, I don't really know, because for me, that 1 week, it make a difference. Because the ultimate goal is to have that house before ready. I don't have to sell it, but ready before Christmas, before the snow hits. So if this has happened by end of August, my team identified this problem on March 21st, by the way. I reported this to the town on March 21st. So by the time this is done, I have to come back, excavate, put the foundation, and start building. I do sometimes have the magic stick to build a house in 3 or 4 months, but not at that time of the year.
Okay.
And obviously changing a lot of my logistics and the mobilization and the excavation machines that they were on site, they had to leave. Now I have to pay them to come back again. It's just financial implications and planning for my business. But also, I have to be honest with you, that was part of the whole story about planning according to what I have. And the team is now working here, and now I have to move so we can keep creating housing. But now the plan is changing, because I don't know, are we going to come back? Anyway, it's just, and for the other 2 lots, the 2 houses is being framed as we speak right now. In fact, one of them is already framed. And there is also liability issue, because I could not fill that lot, number 23, the subject lot that we're talking about it. So, and I cut all the trees. So there is a big hole. So I have also some liability issues, that if something happened and someone fell in this hole, it's going to be under my responsibility. So I asked even for a temporary fencing just to surround this area, because I can't fill it, because the town need to fix this issue first, and that was kind of rejected. So, every month I'm dealing with the different circumstances. And as I mentioned to everybody before, I don't like to attend this kind of meetings. I like to be on site. So, but I don't really have other alternative to have open conversation like what I do right now. So I don't really have any comments to add, other than we hope for the best, and I will report to the CEO what kind of cost implication that, and we'll have a further discussion, because at this point I don't really know how much I'm gonna keep paying for all of this.
Okay. Thank you. If there's no other questions, then staff will keep you in the loop, and as material comes on site and the easement's taken care of, and they'll move as quickly as they can.
But again, I don't understand the timeline. I'm very sorry. So the timeline, is it 2 weeks, 3 weeks? Because Monday, last week, it was 2 to 3 weeks. Now it's after, so all what I need to know, someone need to give me an accurate date so I can plan around that date. That's all what I'm looking for.
So there are a few things that are out of our control. One is the urgency of this matter with the adjacent landowner, that we can push as much as we can, but they still have to give us permission to get in on their lot. That is out of our control. So hopefully that'll happen soon. And then the second piece is the supplier, as it was indicated by the Director of Engineering and Public Works. They placed the order last week. It takes 3 to 4 weeks, assuming there are no issues with the supplier. So if there are no issues with the supplier, it's about another 2 to 3 weeks out from this week that the materials will be in. And then it's a matter of assessing what jobs we may be in the midst of or not, or almost complete, that we need to make the site secure to then arrange to do the work over there. So nailing it down to a particular date would be a challenge, and we may mislead you by doing that. So we don't want to do that either. Only to say that we hope that by, and I think it was communicated before, that by the end of August, this, and understanding, as I say, we're at July 14th, that will have given ample time for the materials to come in, the easement to be executed, and Public Works to be on site. If we can make it happen sooner than that, it'll happen sooner than that.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Krim.
So if there is any chance we can put some sort of temporary fencing around this, so at least I can be not liable?
So this is probably something we should have a
Yeah,
conversation
that's an
about.
operational decision. That's not something we'll decide at the council meeting. So that's a conversation CAO and staff will have.
Okay.
Okay?
So should I follow up with the CEO
Yeah.
about the fencing issue after this meeting?
Yes.
Yep.
Perfect.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Thank you, Krim.
No problem.
Okay. We will move down to, sorry, yes?
Sorry, Your Worship. Just another question, I guess. So, Mr. George mentioned that he brought this issue to town back in March. So I'm just
21st.
Pardon me?
March 21st.
21, yeah. So like, I guess what happened over like a 3-month period there, and then all of a sudden we're kind of like emergency mode here to scramble and get this resolved.
I wouldn't say we're in emergency mode right now. I believe, I can get you the timeline. I'll commit to giving that to council. When it's received, who received it, what meetings were held, conversations were held, and what got us to the point today. I can't give you all that detail right now, but I will most definitely
Okay,
make
no,
sure that
yeah.
you have that. Yeah.
I don't really
Yeah.
need the details. I'm just thinking, yeah, it's kind of been dragging a bit then.
We'll make sure that
Yep.
explanation gets to
Yeah.
council.
Thanks.
Which is also kind of why we, same night we receive delegations, we don't make decisions.
Yeah.
Because there's
Yeah, for sure.
additional information that, that needs to come.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll move on to the minutes of June 23rd, and welcome Councilor Frazier back.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Krim. So you have the minutes in the regular meeting from June 23rd. Any errors or omissions with those? Councilor Newell?
My name is misspelled. That's okay. I do not have a Y. Otherwise, I'm fine.
We will get those corrected. Okay, can I have a motion to approve the minutes as corrected? Councilor Newell, I don't even want to guess what the Y was. Seconded by Deputy Mayor McDonald. All those in favor? Those opposed? Motion is carried. It would have been great if someone had opposed that.
Actually, it would have been.
That would have been great if you would opposed that.
I was waiting to see if someone else caught it. I'm kind of hurt that no one else caught it.
We're down to correspondence for information. We have two pieces there, both from our MLA, who is the Attorney General and Minister of Justice, so Becky Drouin, both regarding the policing services in Nova Scotia and the police services review. Just for council and the public's information, the minister has committed to meeting with all the municipal can't remember if it's all the municipalities or the municipalities with municipal police services, maybe it's all of them.
I thought all of them.
All of them. And our meeting is tomorrow morning, and so we'll have more information. I've had a meeting with there's 10 communities that are municipally policed. I've had a meeting with the CAOs and mayors of all of those. And we've had a couple of NSFM meetings regarding this. So, there's quite a bit of good in the police review. There's some positive changes that would move policing forward. And then there are some concerns that we're going to speak to the minister about. But again, this is just receiving it for information, and there'll be more coming back to council as we have more discussions with the minister and the province on that. Then we're down to business arising, unfinished business. Second final reading of Chapter 184, tax exemption for non-profit organizations bylaw. So this is to add the Bridgewater Masonic Hall Society to that.
So that you'd be, council conducted first reading, so this would give second and final approval for the amendments that would see the Masonic Society's property on 83 Dominion Street added to the list for partial tax exemption, so not full. So that reduces it from commercial down to residential. And the amount, the budget impact of that is $4,355.64 for the 2025-26 fiscal year. And that can be accommodated within budget. So if council concurs, second reading would be completed, and then we would place an ad in the newspaper and on our website advising of council's approval, and on that date it becomes effective. So we'll be doing a reimbursement of taxes for them.
Any questions on that? Is someone prepared to make that motion? Councillor Colwell?
I move the town council for the town of Bridgewater conduct second and final reading of Chapter 230, a bylaw to amend Chapter 184, tax exemption for nonprofit organizations, to approve partial tax exemption on the entire property of 93 Dominion Street, owned by the Bridgewater Masonic Hall Society, and add to Schedule B of Chapter 184, tax exemptions for nonprofit organizations bylaw.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Frazier. Further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Those opposed? Motion is carried. And down to new business, the 4-H Canada Southwest Region 45th Annual Provincial Show request for sponsorship. This is a huge event for our community. If you want to speak to that.
Yep. So the event is being held September 26th to 28th, and it's the Nova Scotia Provincial Show, and it'll be held at the South Shore Exhibition Grounds in Bridgewater. So as indicated, they have in the past drawn over 20,000 attendees, and they anticipate increased member registration this year. It's an even larger turnout than in the past. So it's a great opportunity for our region to bring people to the area. They are looking for sponsorships. The package has been included with the agenda that kind of shows what the sponsorship opportunities are. So you can do 1, 2, or 3, which are all 250 or under. The larger ones are competition sponsor at 1,000, and silver supporter 5,000, or gold supporter at 10,000. So I believe our budget that we have budgeted for sponsorships would support probably the competition sponsor, but again, it's up to council. If council wishes to exceed that, we do have a contingency account that we could use to offset that.
Discussion, Councillor Wynot.
I'm just wondering if there's any opportunity for an in-kind type of sponsorship. Would they have a need for that?
From the town?
From the town in any way?
I don't think they've indicated any.
Okay.
No, not that I'm aware of, but if they do that request, if it's over 500, it would come to council.
Perfect.
Other comments or questions or direction council would like to give in terms of level of sponsorship?
So,
Councillor Conklin?
how much do we have left in that budget, Tammy?
I believe it's 4,000. We had we budgeted for the community foundation, which was I believe 40,000, and then 4,000 for sponsorships. So that's separate from our grant budget.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. So these are sponsorships that some of them come within the threshold that staff can approve and some are over that.
And staff can approve it if it's
I believe it's
500.
under
500.
500?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Councillor Caldwell.
I think if we have $1,000 available in the budget, then we should go for $1,000.
For that competition sponsor
Yeah.
piece.
Okay, Councillor Wine.
Could we also add, though, if there is, like $1,000 is great, but I'm just wondering if they do need some help from the town in an in-kind way, that could we help out that way? As on top of the 1,000.
Yeah, I think they would make that request, and then it would have to go,
Yeah.
like, the one I go to in my head is if they needed, roads closed
Road
or
closure.
traffic, if they have,
Yeah.
tens of thousands of spectators coming, then that request would come to the town, but it would naturally come back.
So we don't have to have that in a motion on
No.
top of the.
If it's under $500, then those are things that we would typically be able to deal with at the administrative level. Over 500, it would come to council.
Okay.
And of course, Patrick will do his normal plugs on social media and stuff like that to promote the event through our channels.
As the mayor mentioned, this is a huge thing for the town, so any way we can support it, I feel that would be very beneficial for all.
And it's not to say we wouldn't say yes to something in kind, it's just we can't say, yes, we would do something in kind, and then if the traffic authority comes back or engineering and says, well, we don't have the capacity to do something.
Okay.
So some of it has to go through.
Yep, that's fair.
As it does with the exhibition, right? So a big ask, the traffic authority has to talk about what the implications are, so.
Perfect.
Yeah, and as Dawn is working with the business community as well, like to help make sure that they're ramped up and able to promote
Yeah.
it. And so we're doing little things in little ways, but anything big, yeah.
Yeah, I would hope they would come back if there's something we can do.
Yeah.
More over and above. So Councilor Caldwell, did you want to make that motion then for the 1,000?
I move the town council for the town of Bridgewater approve sponsorship in the amount of $1,000 to the Southwest region of 4-H Canada for the 45th annual Nova Scotia Provincial Show, scheduled for September 26 to 28, 2025, at the South Shore Exhibition Grounds in Bridgewater.
Thank you. Seconded by Councilor Wynot. Further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Those opposed? Motion is carried. That'll be exciting. September is going to be busy. And it's piggybacks on 55 plus, right? Like they go one into the other?
And Harvest Moon Fest.
And Harvest.
And paddle.
Yeah. Nobody go anywhere in September.
No vacations.
No vacations for council in September. Down to, I lost my place. There we go. 11.2, designated community project fund grant for the Bridgewater Curling Club. So this is, as people know, this isn't really the town giving a grant to the curling club. It's people making donations to the town on behalf of the curling club, and then we redistribute the funds.
Yeah, and under, that's a policy, council has policy 97, and so in May of 2024, they were approved, so they have to apply, indicate what the funds would be collected for, and then council can give that grant. So they had listed 3 projects, the ammonia surge drum, curling stones, and the ice scraper, and they indicated that this would be like a 3-year kind of window in which they would be collecting funds. So they obviously have had some significant donations that have been made through the town, and the recommendation is council award those back to the curling club in the amount of $25,000.
Any questions on that? Someone prepared to make a motion? Councilor Fagear?
Yes, Your Worship, I'll move that. I move that the town council for the town of Bridgewater, in accordance to policy 97, designated communities fund policy, approve a grant in the amount of $25,000 to the Bridgewater Curling Club.
Thank you. Seconded by Councilor Conklin. All those in favor? Those opposed? Motion is carried, and we have the same thing for the South Shore Fieldhouse Society for the amount of $1,200. So exactly the same
Yep,
community
same
fund. Is someone prepared to make that motion? Councilor Fagear, thank you.
Yes, I will. I move that town council for the town of Bridgewater, in accordance with policy 97, designated communities fund policy, approve a grant in the amount of $1,200 to the South Shore Fieldhouse Society.
Thank you. Seconded by Councilor Conklin. Good team effort. All those in favor? Those opposed, motion is carried. Thank you. We were down to 11.4, Regional Growth Management Committee meeting notes from June 24th. So, as council will remember, both municipalities, District of Lunenburg and Town of Bridgewater, formed a Regional Growth Management Committee, and we had a meeting last week, 2 weeks ago? 2 weeks ago. And thought it was very productive. And so in there, you'll see the meeting notes. And then the motion here will be to direct staff to prepare presentations for Modal and Bridgewater Town Council on the growth and infrastructure plans and process in place to ensure that we're all on the same page. Because I think that was some of the things we talked about was we don't all know what each other is doing. And so that kind of creates a bit of a challenge. So putting us all on the same page would be a helpful step forward. I don't know if you wanted to add to that.
Yep, no, just it's to understand how growth impacts our infrastructure and the challenges that we have and our plans. We have a 10-year plan to kind of deal with some of our wastewater. So helping inform them of that, just as they have certain types of development that we may not be used to in town, but helping us understand what their development pressures are and their challenges, so that at least when we're talking about development along the fringe, they understand when we come from the perspective of wastewater and needing to understand the impact on that, as well as intersections and all those things. So it's just to know where we're coming from and for us to understand the perspective they're coming from when it comes to development and challenges and opportunities.
Deputy Mayor, you were in that meeting. I don't know if you had anything else to add to that.
It was a learning experience. There's definitely, we think we know a lot about development, and then they tell us about what they're doing, and I had to ask a lot of questions.
Yeah, and it's a little bit different too. Yeah, Councilor Peter, you were there. I don't know if you had anything.
No, I think it's a great opportunity for us to engage and understand what our opportunities and challenges are. A great way for us to collaborate. So great first start.
Any questions from council? If not, someone prepared to make a motion. Deputy Mayor?
The Town Council for the Town of Bridgewater directs staff to prepare a presentation for Modal and Town Council on the growth and infrastructure plans and processes in place to ensure common understanding of regional growth benefits and challenges and aid in determining next steps in regional growth management.
Thank you. Seconded by Councilor Newell. All those in favor? Those opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you. I was tempted to push this one to the end of the agenda, but we'll go to this one only because Dan Hennessy is here and that would be fun. So Veterans Crosswalk. So council, remember that we had a request come last fall to council. So we're going to hear from our traffic authority talking about zebras.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So here tonight to talk about the installation of a symbolic Veterans Way crosswalk as requested by the public delegation on November 25th. I think we've all understand that we've seen lots of requests for decorative non-standard pavement markings over a number of years. They gained a lot of popularity. Understanding that they're not covered in any of the traffic control manuals that I, as a traffic authority, have to abide by, meaning the Manual of Uniform Traffic Control Devices of Canada or the Pedestrian Control Guidelines, both issued by TAC, or Transportation Association of Canada. Luckily, the TAC undertook a study to examine decorative pavement markings or non-standard. That was started a few years ago, but they finally completed it in April of 2023, and I used that study as a reference as part of my evaluation of this request. The key findings, zebra crosswalks, which is the black and white stripes, in part of that study, have found to be the best performing crosswalk. So they advise through that study not to impact that by changing that design, so not adding any decorative markings to that. But what they did say is that they found, coincidentally, through their study, that the ground mounted, which is signs and twin parallel lines, that they actually performed worse, the worst of all the crosswalks, and that those crosswalks with twin parallel lines and non-standard pavement markings actually perform better. So one of the, I guess, the main recommendation that I'll be following from that report is that if we do look to accommodate these requests, it'll be in areas where there's twin parallel lines required or warranted. Normally, those are warranted in low-volume roads, so roads that have less than 4,500 vehicles in a run of a day. That's quite a lot, and but still maintain a pedestrian count of 15 people per peak hour. So while the traffic authority and myself can't recommend it going the installation of non-pavement markings at York and Victoria where requested, we can suggest, or I can suggest, two alternatives, meaning Dominion and Churchill, which is close to the Legion, where that one has twin parallel lines, or we could use what other jurisdictions are doing. They're using driveway entrances, so Brookside Cemetery does have an entrance off of York, and that would where twin parallel lines don't exist, but it's something that could be added. Understanding that twin parallel lines are about $70 per year to install, and if we use the our last price for the Rainbow Crosswalk was around $3,000. So there is sufficient money to install something of that nature at a twin parallel line crosswalk at this point. So staff would make the recommendation that at least at this point now we have some guidance. Before we were operating on what our neighbors would be doing, mainly HRM. So they had tested skid resistance, and that's why we have the Rainbow Crosswalk where it is right now. But now we have this information, we would suggest that it would be installed on more low volume roads, anything like that going forward. Because you do see the one at the corner of Dominion and King, it's wearing quite quickly, and that was one of the things that's suggested from the report is to, if you were going to consider these, that they would be on low volume intersections. Staff are looking for council's direction to work with the proponent from the Legion for the installation of a non-standard pavement markings or decorative markings on one of the two, or maybe there's another location that I'm not aware of. The only thing I could say is that I believe, based on our last quote from our pavement marking contractor, I think there's 170 twin parallel lines in town. I think that's what I had. I forget.
So there's a few options.
There's a few options, but I tried to select one that would be as close to the Legion or had some relevance to the Legion.
Well, I think the recommendation that you have there to work with someone from the Legion to find the best location is probably the best way to address that.
If only there was someone from the Legion that would probably want to step up. I can't think of anyone.
We'll find somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah. Councillor Conklin.
So, Matt, so one of the concerns is the longevity or the endurance of the paint, basically, right?
Yeah.
I fully sympathize with that, but you know what? I think a lot of that comes down with the quality or lack of quality of the paint from the contractor that does our lines. Like, we have many crosswalks in town where the crosswalks look great week 1, but come to month 10, 11, 12, whatever, they're hardly visible.
That is because in terms of what we would have been used to maybe 15 or so years ago, those are oil-based paints, and this is water-based paints. Unfortunately, that is the requirement for the standard, is that type of paint now.
Yeah, okay.
Which is unfortunate.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
But not unfortunate for the environment. I guess that's, it's the trade-off, right? But you're stuck going, you have to go with the TAC guidelines, right? Like, we can't switch anyway, and
at least we had some better backing than what we did when we had discussed the Rainbow Crosswalk at this point. So at least we have it studied, commissioned by TAC, that at least gave the recommendation that if the traffic authority were to consider it, that they could look at the ground mounted or the twin parallel lines, understanding that I can be overruled by the province and told not to do it, but we have yet been told not to.
Councillor Conklin.
So do each province could potentially have different regulations with respect to
We all, so part of the reason with the uniform traffic guidelines or TAC manual is consistency across Canada. So we all, as every traffic authority would adhere to that.
Yeah.
It's just that each traffic authority, local or provincial, could vary depending on their engineering best practice or their own engineering judgment.
Gotcha.
But
Thank you.
the basis is the guidelines themselves.
Okay.
Deputy Mayor?
No, you're referring to the parallel lines on York Street. Where do they go to and from?
On York Street?
Yeah.
Yeah, there, right now, the location that I suggest, only close to Brookside, there are no twin parallel lines on the main driveway, entering and exiting Brookside, but we can install them. Fortunately, they're only $70 to do that. Then add the decorative marking between them.
Sorry, it would be, where were you thinking?
The entrance to Brookside Cemetery on York Street,
So the entrance itself, not on the street?
not on the street.
Okay, okay.
Because the one thing with inherent to all of this is that crosswalks have to be warranted, so you can't just make a crosswalk. So you look to those where intersections already exist. Or driveway entrances.
Right. Okay. Other questions? Councillor Wynot.
I'd like to move.
Yes, please.
I'd like to move that Town Council for Town of Bridgewater direct staff to collaborate with a representative from the Royal Canadian Legion to determine the location and design of decorative pavement markings in accordance with key findings of the Transportation Association of Canada report on non-standard pavement markings and subject to the approval of the Traffic Authority with the goal of completing installation prior to November 11th, 2025.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Newell. Further discussion? All those in favor? Those opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you. Thank you for that. Down at 11.6, Regional Economic Development Partnership Options Review for the Municipal Innovation Program Grant.
You're going to change the temperature? Thanks.
Oh,
It's
thank
not just
you.
me heating up.
Over to you, Donna.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. It's my pleasure to be here this evening in relation to an item that our colleagues, my colleagues among the municipal districts within Lunenburg and Queens have been meeting about probably for the last year or so and discussing how could we look at mobilizing our resources to better inform and prepare ourselves and our municipal units to attract, work with the business community, and continue to grow the economic prosperity of the area. As you know, we already work quite closely and collaboratively. We have a working group amongst the economic development officers in Lunenburg and Queens. We meet monthly. We work on a number of projects together. You folks will recall we undertook a retail market gap analysis and accommodation gap analysis. Our colleagues and municipal unit at MODL partnered along with us. We undertook the BDO zone project for the entire Southwest Nova Scotia, but did that as the municipal units in varying levels. So there's been repeated projects that we continue to undertake as units that come together, and we individually bring these projects to our individual councils. Sometimes, as you might be aware, not all municipal units are in agreement with doing certain projects. Typically, it's been exciting to see that our council has been very forward in looking at, we are a hub and we are a connector, and we're always looking to be proactive, and you've been very supportive of those initiatives. Wanting to continue to look at the opportunities coming up, wanting to better support business retention, expansion, and look at attraction as we work collectively with Invest Nova Scotia, as we continue to expand on our asset, which is the International Network of Michelin Cities. All of these items reach out beyond just us and have impact and implication on our partners in the area. Wanting to look at how might we best focus our efforts regionally. What is the vision for this region? We currently do not have, and I am not suggesting that we need a regional enterprise network. This, on the other side, is looking at, we're coming forward with a proposal that has been reviewed by the mayors, wardens, and CAOs in Lunenburg County. And economic development officers, as a team, we came forward with a proposal to secure funds to undertake a study that would look at what are we missing? How can we better and more effectively position ourselves with very specific deliverables that looked at collaborative economic development initiatives, focusing on business growth and retention, what are business supports that are needed in the area that we might not be channeling and bringing into the region currently, looking at regional leadership and advocacy to help us draw our voice as a region to the top of the pile, and looking at increased revenue and economic prosperity for the area. Each time we've attempted to undertake a regional project, again, we came separately, but not all municipal units participated at the same level every time. For example, the retail market analysis, we led it, we secured partial funding from ACOA, but you invested in it, and MODL invested in it. Who's also being able to use it? The balance of the region. So we have been on the forefront of facilitating these undertakings for quite some time. Our approach and a proposal to undertake an economic partnership study to look at what are each of the units doing, where are we falling short in serving the potential of the growth of the area, and might we actually be able to arrive at a solid vision for the entire area where it's okay that we're developing and we're landing a significant employer within our expanding business park, and that all of the surrounding municipal units are in agreement with that because they see the potential in the other benefits that they will receive. Residential, increased tax base for them from that perspective, spin-off jobs, all of those pieces that hive in and around. So the vision that we have in being able to undertake a regional economic partnership study is to look for those opportunities, not to duplicate and not to replicate what is currently done, but are there shortcomings that are holding us back from realizing the potential of the area, and what kind of a framework might we want to use to help leverage that? We don't have anything on paper at this point that helps to establish that. The request is coming forward after consulting with the mayors and wardens and CAOs. Each of us are bringing this proposal back to each of our councils for comment and hopefully endorsement. The project budget for this and a scope that we looked at is currently, because it's ballparked, we had applied specifically to municipal affairs under their funding program called the Municipal Innovation Program Grant. We were awarded, I can now say, it was not obvious at the time when we submitted this report to you, but they have approved up to 75% to a maximum of $50,000 towards this undertaking. That is their contribution to support trying to assess what do we need, what might it look like. Each of the municipalities have been asked to contribute. Our contribution is up to $10,000. In anticipation of regional projects, which we have continued to undertake, we had already allocated and approved a $5,000 budget line item within our current fiscal budget. So we're okay there. Since we have presented this package, we know that MODL has endorsed going forward. Chester municipality has reviewed it and they have declined participation in this project. Our colleagues in Lunenburg, Mahone Bay, and Queens, region of Queens, are currently entertaining them as well. So those reports will come back. As we know, we've got a number of items within our strategic priorities, and certainly as was reviewed from the regional growth team that's coming together. In that scope, planning for growth as a region is a priority for us. We know we've been wanting to facilitate that. In and of itself, this is not about do we form a regional enterprise network and how do we make that happen. That's the cart before a horse. What we want to look at is what do our businesses need to grow, to expand? When we look at investment attraction, in which we know Invest Nova Scotia has now also reiterated and reaffirmed their commitment to investment attraction. What needs to come in? Where should elements go? Much like when we did our retail market analysis, we had economic zones that was conveyed to us based on markets, not by political boundaries, where these nodes are and what their roles are. And we understood those, and we're now using that as we build out our Exit 12A and how we look at Cookville, et cetera. So This is an effort to move towards that, to help give us a regional vision so that we see ourselves in it, that we don't miss opportunities for business growth, and solidify our ability to leverage those initiatives going forward. This is not to diminish what each of the municipal units are already doing. Each of them have various levels of staff. You have made a contribution since the disbanded REN. You folks have made a commitment to creating an economic development officer position. We have a particular role we fulfill, day-to-day operations, and then trying to reach outside and build out and forward. Each of the other departments across the region have something similar. Who does what? Everything's a little bit different. Coming to grips with what do we do together already? What are the potential opportunities and how do we capitalize on those to insert ourselves directly into future developments? And how do we attract the most for our region is really what this is all about. So it is with that we are coming to council to seek your endorsement of undertaking a study such as this. It would be coming back to you, as it would to those who are participating, appreciating that Chester has determined they will not be participating. I do not feel that that diminishes the value of this exercise. Perhaps a role will come in the future. Perhaps our opportunity is best identified to align ourselves with Port Mersey and the potential of a port in Liverpool and the ability to tap into shipping with the renewal coming in and our new green energy that we need and that we want to pull into our business park. Again, I have the ability, with your support, to talk to folks in Greenfield at the lumber yard, as well as out in the county for other initiatives. That's the nature of who we are because of our interrelationships. My vision would be that we would undertake this initiative and that we would be able to come back to councils collectively and have everyone agree to who has what role to play for what purposes in this region, and that we speak as one voice to support all going forward, not to be in a situation where why there, how come they're getting that, but instead as a unit moving forward that everyone sees themselves in it and we're able to, as one voice, go after investment attraction and see it as one unit. While we continue to do the work we're doing every day, but this would give us permission to identify what that looks like, and then coming forward from that, what do we need to do to get it done? We're not making any commitment beyond what's the realm of the possibility, what are we missing, and how do we capitalize on leveraging an opportunity.
Questions? Council Deputy Mayor.
So RENs, we know that they didn't work, but this is a little bit different in that it's economic development officers coming together. Do you see this almost, kind of sounds like it could be a joint services kind of thing, where economic development is seen as a regional service? Is that kind of part of where this might explore that possibility, or?
It could very well be an option. Again, rather than running to the end to decide what might a framework look like, we'd rather take a step back and say, so we know that there are frameworks everywhere in the province and actually clear across the country and how regional partnerships come together. What do we need? What is, again, while perhaps the provincial model that the province has in collaboration with all other regions except two, ours and Eastern Shore, if we have not adopted that model, we think we're in a unique position to create our own. How does that operationalize? Let's let the process tell us. And that could be one of those options. And it is part of the scope currently that we have. What do we have amongst us? Is there another way of doing this that doesn't require undertaking a full-on region? The other difference that's here is previously, as I understand, the RENs had stretched from Chester to Shelburne. And that region was very difficult to mobilize. As we had seen in our retail market analysis, Bridgewater is a hub and there are many connectors, and it connects Liverpool as a hive. Yes, we've got some penetration pulling in from Shelburne, but our hive is really in and around Lunenburg Queen. So how can we capitalize on those initiatives? And again, as economic development staff, When Queens was talking about key specific projects they were interested in for, whether it be the windmills, we were supportive. Do we need windmills in Bridgewater? No, we don't have the land, that's not necessary. Do we want the green energy? Can we support and get behind them? Yes. So I know that they're not within our joint services, so who knows? That may or may not, and it may be that at the end of the day, the region shrinks a bit further. Maybe it does actually come closer to Bridgewater and surrounding area, but we'd like to let the process figure out what aren't we doing to capitalize on opportunities now that we're missing, and how do we step in?
So all cards are on the table. Could look like that. So to Donna's point, we don't know yet what it looks like, but yeah, it's actually a good point that you make, that could look like a joint service. I think we should all be open-minded to that, for sure. Councillor Conklin.
Just curious if that grant is contingent upon more than just us and Modal participating, or, and it's 50,000, they'll cover up to 50,000, up to 75%.
Correct.
So ideally, if the project was, we would maximize the grant if the project was only like 73,000, right?
Yeah. Again, what are the terms and conditions of the grant itself?
Yeah.
Again, with permission to be able to come to each of our units individually, we wanted to be able to say, we applied back in April. We had hoped to have feedback prior to then. It just came in, but we felt it was time to at least bring it to the mayors and wardens and CAOs for their feedback in June, and that's where we landed. So we would have to go back and revisit it, but I think we could make a pretty good case for, we're interested in exploring regional partnership. We don't know what that looks like in the end, but it's being driven by need and opportunity for export development and investment, et cetera.
Yeah.
Yep.
What page? I don't know what page this is. Maybe page 3. So, okay. You mentioned that Chester has decided no, and the other regions, so municipal units, so Town of Lunenburg, Mahone Bay, it looks like they've already decided.
No, those
There's
are
no's with
indicated
highlights?
as not confirmed yet.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're not confirmed yet. So everyone is dispersing to go out to
Yeah.
solicit feedback from their councils, hoping to receive endorsement. Again, can't project whom will come alongside, but certainly it's been our past philosophy that you go with who's willing and you work towards it. So at this point, MODL, our nearest partner and greatest trading asset in our surrounding area, is on side. We have an opportunity. The others, I think we will find a way to work together and try to convince the province that we are coming to the table with what we can. We've done our due diligence in stepping forward, and we'd like to undertake the scope and let the process unfold and bring back to you folks the results of what that might look like.
I think the timing is quite perfect, to be honest, with the challenges that we're facing with our neighbor to the south and our largest trading partner, and now the removal of most of the interprovincial trade barriers and some of the opportunities, but also the challenges that come with those, and having some kind of framework that gives us a better understanding of what that means and how we can capitalize on that. We have not historically partnered well with Queens, and yet you've got a couple of huge players economically in the region in Queens that you're working with, I know, but are we leaving opportunities for our residents or our businesses on the table by not understanding what that relationship could
It's
be?
that elevated,
Yeah.
if you go up a few thousand feet and you see the linkages and the potential, what are we missing, and what if we didn't have municipal boundaries dividing when we see the full picture?
Yeah.
And so what's there, and how do we position that and take that back to the province and Invest Nova Scotia in their endeavors? The discussions around an incubation or an innovation center. For us to undertake those kinds of initiatives as a standalone as Bridgewater we can do that, but we would gain so much more strength, as we have been throughout the years, serving as a hub for facilitating that and continuing to pull it together. And there may be items that come up that says, you know what? Lunenburg's got Stellia going on, and there's the whole space, aerospace components. Expanding on that, supporting those pieces is the right way to go. Would we say, not unless they relocate to Bridgewater? Ideally, we want success in all of these communities to be a part of our unification going forward as we draw from the various sites. So it really is, what is the art of the possible and what's missing and how do we capture it? And then the framework of how do we make that happen?
Councillor Conklin.
So would the scope of the study change depending on who the players are?
It could, yeah. So
Yeah,
everything
'cause
was
I wouldn't
prepped as
yeah.
draft, right?
It wouldn't
That-
include Chester now.
Yeah.
No. No. Again, for this process and project too, while we've had many projects that we've initiated that we've brought to the greater table, which it wasn't a pay to play in this particular case, you got to have some skin in the game and want to be committed to looking at areas for growth and development as a partnership. And we'd be focused on that.
One of the things, how did we determine the buy-in amount?
Yeah. So as I understand, it's based on assessment and it's the
Is it
typical
the same way that
approach.
Trump picks the tariffs, or?
It's a little bit because we changed it. No, I mean, in that we changed the formula.
Yeah.
It used that typical formula that we've used in the past, but we
Modified it a
we
bit,
modified it
yeah.
because it would have left Mahone Bay with only contributing $500, which the group, and to Mahone Bay's credit, was very understanding, was not enough to be part of, say, pay or play. But so we did change that number.
And it is a little bit different too, because typically District of Lunenburg and Chester would be more than the town of Bridgewater in terms of payment, so we
Yeah.
modified it all the way around, so it's not really uniform assessment.
And if I may, just for my own clarification before you jump in, Councillor Newell, if there is an error in the financial implications where it reads Mahone Bay 500, please refer to the official in your Appendix A where it outlines that Mahone Bay is at 2,500. My apologies for not catching that. Sorry, Councillor. Newell, didn't mean to
Sorry,
interject
that was
ahead of
going
you.
to be, my question was,
Okay.
thank you for pointing that out to me.
Sorry, my apologies.
No, I
That should have been, that was the original, and then after the meetings with the mayors and wardens, that was adjusted to 2,500.
And it's something we have to discuss this going forward too, just because we use uniform assessment, sometimes they use population, but when you're talking about economic development, it should be equal or closer to equal. It's not, you can't use those old traditional formulas that we've been using in uniform assessment. I don't understand why we use that for some things, because it just doesn't.
It's supposed to be a measure of ability to pay, but with economic development, the benefit isn't necessarily
Exactly.
attached to uniform assessment in the same way.
So we did make that change because it was too low.
I like the ability to pay better, but.
As long as you can pay.
So, for example, let's say it's just Model and Bridgewater that are interested in doing this. We don't have any other players that want to sign on. And the province would contribute up to 50,000.
75% up to
75%
50,000.
up to
Again,
50.
we'd have to go back to confirm that.
So we
with
could
them.
stay at 5,000, Model will stay at 20, and have the province kick in, and we got our study.
Again, if we could create that.
Confirm it.
If
Yeah.
that's where we landed, that's what we would be positioning for. So again, I appreciate that there's a lot of ambiguity here because we're waiting to hear from the other units.
Yeah.
But the proactive approach to looking at how might we, especially in the spirit of collaboration and partnership that has been forthcoming with our neighbors.
Yeah.
This is a great time for us to position and carry that forward and them to be able to come back to you.
Yeah.
And the scale and scope financially will
Yeah.
certainly reflect what is possible within the study, but to be very, we'll adjust that to be very focused on getting the answers that we're looking
Yeah.
for.
Like, sorry, can I? Yeah, thanks. I guess my concern would be if it's just the two municipal units, us and Modal say, who are interested in doing this, then really we have already undertaken and paid for a retail gap analysis.
And they contributed.
Oh, yes, yeah, I'm well aware of that. So, like, would another type of study be necessary? Like, would you have to maybe look at changing the direction of the type of scope, or, I don't know, it's just,
The retail gap analysis was very specific to what are the economic, the
Yep.
retail nodes of Bridgewater and how do we service it? Because we were using that to understand what we should, the direction we should take exit 12A in, and allowed us
Yeah.
the chance to acknowledge. Again, acknowledge the Cookville development.
Yeah, for sure.
Et cetera, so those
Yeah.
pieces. That was very specific because it was triggered by us wanting to better understand and to not inadvertently create a demise of our downtown.
Mhm.
And so we wanted to understand how, it was
Oh,
a
yeah.
tremendous step forward in that we began talking about regional implications. What happens outside of town of Bridgewater? There are implications that happens everywhere. So rationally, I would like, it would, ideally, it would be that MODL would review that retail gap analysis and agree to, and acknowledge that these are the zones, these are the roles, and we support the town of Bridgewater in their efforts at exit 12A, based on those pieces and the interrelationship. That was very specific to our piece. There are a number of initiatives at higher level, like what does an incubation or an innovation hub look like? Do we need one? Could it help service and spark innovation and activity?
yeah.
There's only so far that while I maintain and fulfill our day-to-day operations and then try to spark out to keep punching out, I have so much more I would love to do with our INMC, our International Network of Michelin City, and our hub that we've already started as the corridor of incubators. There are many more levels that we could use that, in this case, to help attract even more to Bridgewater, and recognizing we still need our neighbors. They will still live in the surrounding area, they will choose to be here. The validation of Bridgewater as the hub with the services we have continues to mount in there. So it's our ability to take a higher level look at initiatives that all municipal units that are participating in the process would all, when we came back to all of you, yes, we're in agreement that these are the key areas, these are the shortcomings in servicing the business community, here's who could be doing it, here's a framework that might help, or that is being recommended to help facilitate moving these initiatives forward, if there are shortcomings.
Thank you. Other questions or comments? Yes, Custer.
I take it with Chester no longer wanting to contribute, that doesn't seem to be of any impact to, like, what this project would look like.
Would
from
we
a
have
budget.
loved to have them in there?
Yeah.
Absolutely. We are focused, as a number of the other partners are, on employment generation. If you're focused on employment generation and commercial development, this is a tremendous asset to begin to explore. What does that look like, and how do we take control of that piece and mobilize our resources? Chester hasn't chosen to pursue it as an option. We would continue regardless.
What's the kind of timeline for something like this to be completed?
Yeah, so at this time, everyone is reaching out to their municipal councils to get the feedback. We were ready to start writing a scope as soon as we got everybody's approval in this week. So we would be finalizing the scope of work and putting out a request for proposals. Ideally, we would have it out by fall. The timeline, as we had outlined it, was intended to be able to come back to council with, it may not be the final report, but it would have key findings by March in case there were other implications that you wanted to consider, knowing full well that March is too late for budgeting. but keeping you informed along the way, and if there were other pieces. Perhaps if we're not covering off as large a region, we can condense that timeline as well and be more ready. Again, we need to be nimble and take advantage of opportunities as things are unfolding presently. So ideally, we would be back earlier, but it is very much a compressed time frame.
And I'm sorry, you probably have done this more than once, but can you just give me like one or two examples of like what kind of data is this going to give us then, and what kind of result is that going to lead to us for our time?
Yeah. For example, in our assessment of who does what now and what is happening elsewhere, is it actually helping to grow economic activity and employment? And then building it out there for us. So, but in our particular case, I see things like the ideas around how to leverage the international network of Michelin cities in the corridor to land and attract. How are we attracting? What are our key assets for this area? Again, we've worked with Invest Nova Scotia to say, what are you telling the rest of the world about why you should be investing in the South Shore? And they come back and say, tell us what you're all willing to agree on that are your priorities. We haven't been able to do that because everybody has competing priorities. We work regularly, again, whether it's biomass facilities, businesses that are interested in relocating or starting up a new business here for biomass. They may want to locate here, but they're going to be reliant on what's coming from the lumber mill and perhaps from one of the other venues within our region. So the data is about who's doing what are we missing opportunities around, formulating what is our economic zone and the priorities. What are the priorities of this region, if it's Lunenburg, Queens, or municipal units therein? What are our shining stars that we want to take out for investment attraction? And also look at business retention and expansion. Are there labor market analysis? We've got some new data coming in about our cohorts. What is the population looking like for Bridgewater? We need incoming youth and families, younger skewed, given that 33% are skewed to 65 and older. How are we going to attract that younger generation? And strategically looking at those shortcomings so we can help drive a continued economic activity. So I'm hoping that it will clearly articulate. The goal is let's clearly articulate which areas are primed given the current situation to move forward in these particular sectors, driving these resources to generate the activity, resulting in increased employment, increased assessment, and overall population growth.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments? Certainly hopeful that Queens and Town Lunenburg and Town Mahone Bay will join us on this one, because I think it's important. I'm disappointed that Chester, my understanding is, didn't even find a seconder for the motion, so that's quite disappointing. But you know what? It is what it is. They're free to make their own decision, and so I hope we'll move forward with the other municipalities. So, someone prepared to make a motion? Councillor Newell.
I move that Town Council for the Town of Bridgewater approve moving forward with the proposal presented by staff and undertake a regional economic partnership study as a joint initiative of the 5 municipal units? What number do we?
Five.
We're at 5. Okay, so okay. Of the 5 municipal units within the counties of Lunenburg and Queens. Thank you. To determine the role and potential framework for a formalized regional economic partnership, with the town's contribution being up to a maximum of $10,000 towards the study.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Wynot. Further discussion? We've had a good discussion on that. All those in favor? Those opposed? Motion is carried.
Thank you very much, especially for the discussion around it. I really appreciate it.
That's good.
Excited to see
Thanks,
the
Tom.
results of that.
We are down to 11.7, first reading of MPS and LUB amendments for Exit 12A.
Hello, Mayor and Council. This evening I'll be discussing the amendments to the MPS and LUB to enable the growth and development of the Exit 12A Business Park. This is the first consideration of these amendments. So first off with my recommendation, it's staff's recommendation that Council give first consideration of the proposed policy and bylaw amendments to facilitate the Bridgewater Business Park expansion per the endorsed concept development plan. In December 2024, the new Diamond Interchange opened off Highway 103, which opened up access to 125 acres of town-owned zoned lands. To effectively and appropriately plan for the expansion of the Bridgewater Business Park, a series of studies have been conducted in advance to achieve the best outcome, including the business and retention and expansion analysis, the Southwest Nova BDO zone analysis, which Donna has mentioned, retail market and gap analysis, again, Donna mentioned, the concept development plan, and the appraisal update, which is currently underway. This is the current situation of our future land use map. So you can see in gray there the industrial designation alongside the highway on the left-hand side of the map. And then the brown is the general commercial designation. And again, the existing zoning with conceptual streets overlaid, I will say. So here it shows the comprehensive residential to the top of the image with the conceptual streets, highway commercial, the C9 zone in black, and then the industrial M1 zone in darker gray. Excuse me, as part of the amendment package, there's a series of proposed amendments to the policies within the municipal planning strategy. Some of those currently support the changes which staff are proposing. However, some other policies will require amendments to align with the intention of the business park expansion. So as you can see in the lower part, some proposed amendments to supporting policies include the exclusion of mixed residential and commercial development within the C10 zone, which I'll get into. Adding urban design requirements for both the C9 and the C10 zones. And then the reference to our master infrastructure plan within policy M4. Amendments are required throughout the MPS to establish a new designation, a new zone, and further zone changes. This includes amendments to existing policies and the addition of new policies which are identified with the asterisks. The current highway commercial C9 zone is located within the general commercial designation currently, as you saw in the future land use map. As part of these amendments, staff are proposing to add a new designation called the highway commercial designation. The proposed designation is to better accommodate the underlying zoning, which will cater to highway-oriented uses, and further to discourage rezonings outside the highway commercial designation. The proposed designation works towards council's strategic goals of highway commercial support services and supportive retail for employees. So this is the proposed future land use map. As you can see to the top of the image there is an expanded section of the proposed business park, some park zoning along the formerly residentially zoned lands, and then that new designation, the highway commercial designation in blue there. Oops, sorry. Amendments to the land use bylaw are also required throughout the document to accommodate both the C10 zone and make changes to the C9 and M2 zones. Oh, sorry. The amendments outlined in this slide were proposed to better align the C9 and M2 zones with council's intentions and incorporate the C10 zone in the various requirements for signage, parking, fencing, etc. Other amendments proposed are the permission of shipping containers within as a permanent structure within the C10, the M1, and the M2 zones, and the permission of small-scale wind turbines within the C9 and C10 zones. Oh, sorry, I think I might have. Oh. Sorry, within the planning documents, the highway commercial zone was renamed the highway service commercial C9 zone. I think I'm going to skip a slide there. Apologies. The highway display commercial C10 zone was added. For each of the zones, staff aligned the permitted uses, development mechanisms, and zone standards with the results of our background studies and the strategic priorities of council. This is the proposed zoning map. So that purple is the C9 zone. The black would be the C10, and the lighter gray is the M2, the light industrial zone. And this is with conceptual street layout, just for reference. Sorry, folks, I lost my spot here. Yeah, I read ahead, my bad. Within the planning documents, C9 zone was renamed to the Highway Service Commercial Zone, as I previously said, and the Highway Display Commercial, the C10 zone, was added. The newly proposed intention of the C9 zone is to facilitate development of service-based, high-turnover land uses in high-visibility areas. Urban design requirements were included to ensure the built form at the gateway of Exit 12A has consistent and appealing design. And the development mechanisms for the C9 zone are as of right and site plan approval processes. The list of permitted uses in the C9 zone was amended to achieve the goals of the retail gap analysis by avoiding competition with existing commercial nodes, notably Cookville, Exit 12, and Bridgewater's downtown core. The sole change proposed in the C9 zone standards was the removal of the maximum front yard requirement. This is in alignment with our group commercial C4 zone standards, which currently permits many of the same uses within the zone. Moving to the C10 zone, the proposed intention of the zone is to facilitate development of display-oriented, low customer turnover land uses in lower visibility areas within the gateway of the business park. Urban design requirements were proposed in this zone as well to reflect the area's importance as a commercial node. The development mechanisms in this zone are also as of right and site plan approval. The list of permitted uses in the C10 zone aim to achieve the zone's intention of low customer turnover, display-oriented uses, with additional uses that may benefit from the proximity to the highway interchange. There are several new definitions which would be added to the land use bylaw through this amendment process, identified with asterisks in the permitted uses list. The proposed zoning standards for the C10 zone would mirror those of the C9 zone. Further land use bylaw amendments were required to Section 7 industrial zones and Section 11 definitions. The proposed amendments to the light industrial M2 zone are intended to accommodate a wide range of industrial and commercial uses working towards council's strategic goals of green and emission reducing industries, transport, support and logistics, and construction and contractor support services. This zone will feature as of right and site plan approval processes with development agreements reserved for uses which may have potential for land use conflicts. The list of proposed uses in the M2 zone is extensive and features a range of industrial and commercial uses. Many of these uses feature larger lot coverages, more intensive land uses, and may not benefit to the same extent from highway sightlines. These are some of the definitions that were added or changed through this process. In the C9 and the C10 zones, staff proposed urban design requirements with the intention of developing a clear gateway to the Exit 12A business park. The urban design requirements dictate that the orientation of buildings must address both Enterprise Drive and Highway 103. There must be connection to pedestrian infrastructure where applicable. Blank public facades, are prohibited. However, there are exemptions available, and buildings on corner lots shall emphasize their importance of the corner lot. On May 7th, a PPM, a public participation meeting, was held at Town Hall. 6 members of the public were in attendance. The main discussion topics included permitted uses, questions on the process, downtown versus business park uses, and opportunities for the inclusion of renewable energies within the business park. Staff continued to receive public comment until May 23rd. We received 3 additional comments, one for requesting a bakery within the highway commercial zone, family-style restaurants, Irving Big Stops, other fast food, and large industry besides Michelin, and then a large conference center, hotel, visitor center, indoor sports center, lots of proposed uses there. Infrastructure considerations related to the proposed amendments are as followed. Infrastructure has been installed, the portion of Phase 1, Enterprise Drive and Logan Road North. capacity of the wastewater treatment plant is limited in the near term. Approximately is 57,000 liters a day is reserved for development of phase one. Town is currently developing an offsetting policy and program, and ultimately the cost recovery will be determined by council at the point of the sale of lands. Finally, staff's recommendation that council give first consideration to the proposed amendments for the Bridgewater Business Park expansion and schedule a public hearing on August 11th, 2025.
Thank you. Jammed a lot into that. Questions from Councilor Conklin?
I guess Donna could probably, answer this. Do these recommendations jive with like the studies that we've had done on Exit 12A?
Yeah, our consultant was involved in the public participation meeting, and also has been involved in working groups throughout the process, and it does align with the intentions of our concept plan.
Good question. Other question, Councilor
Thanks, Connor.
Two questions. First, C10 zone would permit places of entertainment. How do you define that?
So that would be, that would be the movie theater, for instance. That would be, I'm really blanking on examples right now, but
Air.
Rock climbing.
rock climbing was a good example, yeah.
Get air stuff and all
Yeah,
that.
get air. A lot of these like warehouse style recreation uses where there will be larger groups of people gathering.
Yeah. Okay. Yep, makes sense. Second is, so the light industrial zone, we've crossed off adult entertainment off the list. So in the, first of all, I don't think it would be legal for us to just say, if somebody, in the unusual event, somebody came forward with a proposal, we couldn't just say it's not allowed in town? And
No, you
We
can't.
do still permit it in the M1 zone.
You have
That
to
was
allow
my
for it
question.
somewhere.
Okay, okay,
The last remaining.
okay.
Which M1 stands for?
It's the industrial zone.
Okay.
You have to allow it somewhere.
We-
Right.
You can't say no, but you
Yeah.
can dictate where it goes, yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Councilor Conklin.
So, like, can you give me some examples how we, with this proposed rezoning,
Yeah.
how are we avoiding competition with our downtown core, Gateway Plaza, Exit 12?
For sure. So we largely excluded retail sales from this. Through this process, there was an addition of a definition for outdoor recreation retail and their home improvement center. Some of these uses that are a little outside the scope of retail sales and could be defined a little more narrowly. But there are basically, we excluded retail sales, which is the majority of retail uses in the downtown, whether or not those are building centers or otherwise. There is a lot of retail sales uses in our downtown. So we really tried to focus on those uses that were display oriented, taking up larger lots like automobile sales. This list really speaks to it. So vehicle sales rental, household repair services, manufactured home sales and repair. There are a few, obviously, that are permitted in our downtown as well, such as a building supply store.
Yeah.
And the home improvement center would likely, we don't have that permitted in other zones because it's a new definition that was added through this process, but there would be competition potentially with some of those uses.
Yeah.
But for the most part, we really tried to exclude the broad range of retail.
Okay, because I'm looking at that list and 2/3 of that is retail. I don't know, what are we talking retail, like a shoe store, clothing
Yeah.
store? So let's say, for example, Costco, even though we don't fit the the Costco template. But let's say they say, oh, heck, let's come to Bridgewater. And we tell them, well, you can't really do C10.
Yeah.
We can offer you C9, or, you know, if you want to go downtown in Bridgewater. So are we willing to, like, just kind of limit ourselves on just for the sake of trying to prevent ourselves from competing with ourselves right now?
I see your point, yeah. I mean, really, our downtown grocery stores are major nodes in our downtown. We really wouldn't want to see those go, and if we opened up retail sales or grocery sales at the exit, it's almost guaranteed we're going to lose one of our major anchor tenants in town.
Yes.
I understand the...
Yeah, no, I can appreciate that. So let's say, for example, we have a grocery store that is looking at relocating.
Yeah.
And we say, yeah, you don't really fit at 12A, but they decide to go anyway, and they go to 12. You know, I mean, is that a possibility?
I haven't looked at the zoning, unfortunately.
Well,
I
think there's no room out there now, but that could change.
Yeah, exactly.
But this is based on the information we got from, if you remember, we had an expert come in and speak to us and say, if you're not careful, you will wipe out your downtown, and then gave examples of communities in Nova Scotia that the downtown is a ghost town and everything's along the highway. So
I think it's a fair point, Councillor Conklin, and it's part of the reason that I think we're looking at this regional growth strategy as well. We don't want to be competing with Exit 12, and I don't think Exit 12 should be wanting to compete with us. At this moment, it would be a concern.
I mean, you know, like, we got a lot of drive-through facilities in town.
Yeah, and
I mean,
really the drive-through...
I could see those relocating.
Yeah, the drive-through facilities is more of a ancillary use, secondary use to these gas stations. I mean, restaurants really is the two. But
I just feel that we're just limiting our potential by being, like, just narrowing in on different segments. Like a home improvement store, like I consider Gau's a home improvement store. I consider Kent a home improvement store, Home Depot, even Costco. I mean, it's very vague list of permitted uses. I mean, as far as whatever definitions we're using, I don't know if it's I'm sure a standard industry code or the SIC, whatever it is that you use for garden and nursery sales, for example. But I mean, that could be Gau's, that could be Canadian Tire. I mean,
largely, I think currently those are permitted as retail uses. This is narrowing it down a little bit more, so we could in the future potentially look at Gau's as a home improvement center. Currently, it's retail sales, but so is almost every other use in the Gateway Plaza.
I haven't bought a pair of shoes or a blouse at Gau's in ages. I don't consider them retail. I'm just kidding.
I understand.
Would there be any value to saying no retail except where associated with one of the permitted uses? So like if you have an electrical business that also has kind of retail, would that be permitted, or
it would
is
be
that
permitted? Yeah.
Okay, that's something.
Yeah.
we
So
don't have to
retail sales is
identify that.
really like you're dedicated to merchandise on your shelves, not captured in any of the other definitions.
Wholesale is good in here.
Yeah.
Okay.
In the wholesale.
Yeah.
It's permitted in the
right,
light industrial.
okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to confirm that.
yeah, I mean, the goal of this is not to draw businesses out of our core, and it's not to draw businesses away from Exit 12, right? It's to fill gaps that currently aren't there, while preventing the decimation of the downtown core, right?
And if I may, it may occur that we see some tenants turn over to Exit 12A if they've been looking for a larger spot and they're within this permitted list, and
which is a different That's,
It's a
to me,
different
that's
niche,
completely different. If you've
exactly.
outgrown your space, we have space constraints, you know, if you're in a building that's wedged between two buildings, you can't really grow.
Yeah.
That's very
Yeah.
different than,
Yeah.
you know, allowing a grocery store and then watching your grocery stores go out to exit 12A and then wondering why nobody is shopping
Yeah.
at the mall or Gateway Plaza or, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
We have to be
understand
very
that.
careful.
But I think it's fair to say that all three major big grocers that we have in town have outgrown their space now.
That's a concern from our perspective, because we know if we permitted grocery out here, they'd potentially all be gone.
So was a lot of this list built around businesses that have expressed, or industries or type of businesses that have expressed interest in setting up shop at 12A?
There's been those conversations for sure. It was largely designed around that concept development plan that was endorsed by council in April, I believe. So really, if I go back to the proposed zoning map here, so those areas in purple, those are the areas basically on top of the hill next to the interchange. They've got high visibility. They'll have the most turnover just with proximity to that interchange. As you move down away from the interchange to the black areas, those would be like the C10 display uses that aren't going to have as higher turnovers. So if we look at the list of permitted uses like hotels, visitor center, places of entertainment, restaurants, gas stations, those are the uses we really anticipate locating around that interchange.
So, yeah, so basically that looks to me exactly like as you approach Truro.
The Elmsdale?
No, just outside of Truro there with Loose Cap.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like those are the type of businesses there.
Yeah, similar.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Convenience.
I mean, they have their entertainment too.
Yeah.
Not the kind Stacy was.
Other questions?
Sorry, I don't know if I ended up addressing your question or.
I mean, this is like everything else we do, it's subject to change, right? So if there's a push, there's a need to adapt or pivot. We've done this before. We're doing it again later in this agenda, making changes based on need. But again, I just want to, for me, it's based on the guidance from someone who, does this for a living and knows the risk of what happens if you do it wrong. And that risk is that you do lose your core of your downtown, and people aren't coming in because they can get everything out of the highway, and there's no need to come into town. Then the only ones that make any money are the big box stores and the mom and pop stores that are the backbone of small town Nova Scotia are gone. So I get what you're saying, but it's finding that balance.
It is a hard balance to strike.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's, listen, I can appreciate the amount of work that you put in and trying to make everybody happy, but I just find it too restrictive for my liking. But anyway, that's just my
But to your previous question, it is based quite a bit on interest that we've received from businesses saying, I'd like to come to Bridgewater.
Yeah.
So I totally get what you're saying. I would be more concerned if the answer from Donna was, oh, these restrictions have now meant that 10 people on my list, I have to call and say we can't go anymore because, so I think, because I see Donna shaking, like nodding her head,
collaboration.
that there's collaboration enough that the people she's talking to can still fit in here. So I'm hoping that.
Well, I hope that
should alleviate some of that.
Any business that is even remotely interested in coming to exit 12A have already contacted the town and expressed interest, because I'd hate to see something come along down the road and it would be, I know it's just, it won't happen, but the Costco example, for example, and I think the downtown core has done a great job in, ramping up its food services, the different restaurants and eating establishments we have, but C9 will still allow restaurants, right? But I don't know. We're allowing some things, we're not allowing others, and, the cinema, let's just say no cinemas out there, because we have a cinema in town.
Not really.
Well, I know. We
I
got a
see your
building that used to have a
rationale.
cinema.
As the mayor noted, I mean, these are living documents. We can absolutely go through amendment processes. We've got our plan review coming up. I know that shouldn't be anticipated as part of this process, but, the land may sell and then sell again. There may be proponents that we're not speaking to currently that are interested in 2 years. So it is hard to say what kind of interest we're going to get out there, but our planning documents are flexible. We can always amend those, and and then we'll have a much better idea of how that build out is occurring as well. So.
Other questions?
Yes, I have a couple more.
Okay.
Sorry. Visitor Information Center.
Yeah.
Is this the same type of visitor information center that we cost shared with Modal at Exit 11?
This is just to allow one.
So
It's not saying we're going to have one. I had the same question.
This was something that was brought up by numerous members of the public, both in the PPM and from responses outside the PPM.
It just makes an allowable use.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean we're building one.
3.2.5, back on one of your first slides there, about parking.
Yep. 3.2.
Designs, you had it there. Design standards for
Okay, yeah.
Don't tell me that includes angled parking.
No.
Thank you. And the last question, what is the difference between a roundabout and a diamond interchange? Because I never considered 12A a diamond interchange.
It's the shape from the air.
Oh, okay.
Thanks
so
for the
it is
answer.
still a roundabout, but when you look at the highway and you look at the roundabout on each side, it's a diamond.
Roundabout.
Yeah, but you have roundabouts on each end, but when you put them all together, it forms a diamond. I asked the same question because one person said roundabouts, one person said diamond. I'm like, so
right.
what is diamond? But it's the aerial. It's the shape from the air.
Thanks for the clarification, Mayor.
Questions for Donna. In the studies and the information that you've been working on for 12A, how and understanding the process that potential businesses go through. I'm wondering how important it is to get it right the first time. Should we be going through this with a fine-tooth comb? Do people look at the zoning and say, oh, we don't fit the zoning next community? Are we risking that if we're not really focusing in on it? Or will people call and say, hey, what have you got?
I think.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does, because we don't want to lose potential. There have been incidences where, perhaps to the discussion earlier, there might be interested bodies in Exit 12A, but they would be best served and would better serve our community if they were located in the downtown area. So trying to encourage those steps back and forth. We built this, Connor took the concept development plan acknowledging that we needed to move residential land, zoned land, into allowing for highway commercial because we saw it as the highest yield and most appropriate use of that property, as well as display space. So based on that concept plan, the work we've done for over the past year to assess, we need to protect our downtown core, we need to continue to grow the economic assessed base, that's where our hive is, and it facilitates that. Protecting that, looking at the 4 pillars for Exit 12A that after we went through retail gap analysis, we did our strategic planning with you folks going through process, we consulted with a wide range in the business community in consultation with the Bridgewater Area Chamber of Commerce and landed on the direction for 12A so that it's not competitive and supports our existing as well as the nodes around, would focus on highway commercial and display, highway display. That's where you're getting that node immediately around the highway servicing. So that hop off, get gas, need an overnight stay, close to all those pieces, it fits perfectly. construction and contractor supports, because we identified it as one of the weakest but greatest opportunities for this area because of proximity to development and how to support that ongoing growth. So anything that fits within that, and Connor and the team have really shaped that to support that element. Transportation and logistics, we know we've got a need for that support. We've enabled all of those elements, and again, even in the design plan of how do we ensure that the roads are supportive of trucks and getting trucks through that interchange and out of the way so that they're not mingling in with people that are heading to a hotel or a gas station, so clear them through. And then the fourth pillar was around the clean fuel and supporting the opportunity for an electrolyzer and refueling station, to how to optimize cluster arrangements with that. In that clear articulation, I think this comes through to stipulate that. What it also gives for us is, assuming we get through all of our readings and it becomes adopted, we're sending out a very clear message to those who are interested in developing at this property. This is what you can be assured you're going to see here. This is who you will cluster up against, and here are the potentials. So they know with assurance what they're heading into, that it's not going to be a mishmash and that they're going to get called in because their transport trucks are now crossing paths with recreational users on a sidewalk somewhere, those issues. So I think we've been very intentional in that process, but always very mindful of wanting to support the downtown growth and our other nodes, like the East Side Plaza, et cetera. That those are the nodes that we're pushing towards to value where we are and give us that flexibility to influence where we're heading.
Deputy Mayor, if you don't mind me just adding to that, from my experience with business, I haven't dealt with larger businesses starting a business as much, but from what I can see, those businesses that are looking to locate at Exit 12A, I think the land use bylaw amendments, unless in complete contrast to council's direction, to make an amendment to enable a land use that would be within the strategic direction of council would not be the most arduous thing. It's more the existing buildings that cause issues for in the building code upgrades. If they're starting from scratch and the first step is acquiring land, really the land use bylaw amendments, I personally don't feel like that is that much of an impediment on development potential. Again, if that is in line with, if their land use is in line with council's strategic objectives and would ultimately be enabled through the land use bylaw.
That was closer to what I was asking, like using Councillor Conklin's example. If Costco was looking at Bridgewater and they saw the zoning didn't allow them, do they just look at the next community, or do they actually make that phone call and say, hey, we see we don't fit your zoning here, do you have somewhere else? Are we going to lose them immediately, or are they going to call and ask the question?
I think Donna's in a better position.
We would certainly be having the conversation again.
But
It's
would
driven
they
by,
make the call?
it's not driven by zoning, it's driven by, we want to be in your market because there's an economic potential for
But
us,
will
so how do
they
we do
make the
this?
call?
Yeah, plus we'll be
They will
proactively
call us and
searching.
ask that question,
Yeah.
they won't just move on to the next
Yeah.
community?
No, because the next community doesn't have the same attributes.
And they're doing
We
it
have
now,
water,
right? Because
central
right now,
sewer.
nobody can do anything out there, right?
That's what I'm wondering. Are
Yeah.
people making the call, or are they just saying, the
Yeah.
zoning doesn't fit us, we're moving on to the next community?
So right now, they're all making the call.
They are.
Saying, can I go out there? And like, if it was today, the answer is no, because we don't have it set up properly, right? So they are still making the call versus, great question, them going online and going, it doesn't look like the zone fits, yeah.
Yeah.
It's about market.
Yeah.
Okay.
How many
It really
people are
is
there,
about
and do you have the space?
Yeah.
And then
And quite honestly, we don't, by the time we finish all this, we don't have a whole lot of land. We have a lot of folks ready to take advantage of
Yeah.
this opportunity. So I think our positioning is going to be, gosh, wish we had more land.
So that's what I was going to say, is going back to Councillor Conklin's point, the list is not short. So I think the risk is very slim. And to Donna's point, we may need to move to phase 2 sooner than later, just because we have so much interest. And I just want to remind council that I was getting phone calls before we had an economic development officer in place, before we had an interchange confirmed, and it was just this rumor that something was going to open up those lands, and we were getting phone calls, like dozens of phone calls regarding, this is what I want, this, and some of those people are still, they've talked to Donna years later. So The interest is still very high, which is good. Other comments? Yes, Councilor Coughlin?
So, just for example, let's say Walmart needs a bigger space, and they call and they say they'd like to go in the C9 zone. And because we are setting these bylaw amendments up to not compete with, say, Exit 12, and we won't allow retail sales, although, you know, they do have, what do they offer out of that restaurant? Heck, they got a McDonald's, right? So we would just tell them flat out no.
I think that the staff deal with this type of thing all the time, where we say the zoning does not allow that. They're big developers, they know their options, and staff would advise them, of course, that you can make an application for an amendment, and then council would have a decision to make with respects to, does changing the land use fit with their vision for that area, and council may very well decide that yes, it does. So these aren't cast in stone. Rezonings happen all the time. People, the Walmarts of the world, or big players, it's part of their daily work environment is to look at land use bylaws, changes to them. We've made the approval process, once the zoning allows it, less cumbersome than probably a lot of places, because it's site plan or development permit. So time-wise,
Pretty quick.
it's very friendly that way. So.
Yeah, basically once a use is permitted, unless it's a use within the M2 zone that has potential to create other conflicts, then it wouldn't need to come back to council. It would just be permitted as of right.
Yeah.
Good. Other comments? Is someone prepared to make a motion? Councilor Caldwell, thank you.
I move the town council for the town of Bridgewater hereby conduct first reading of amendments to the municipal planning strategy and land use bylaw to reflect the intent of the Exit 12A concept development plan as contained in appendices F, G, H, I, and J of document 25-120, and schedule a public hearing for August 11, 2025 during the regular council meeting.
Thank you. Seconded by Councilor Fajir. Had a great discussion on this. All those in favor? Those opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you.
Thank you, council.
Thank you.
Thanks, Connor.
Appreciate that. 11.8, initial application briefing, definition change for group home, small options home.
All right. Good evening, Mayor, Council. I'm here to speak to an application briefing that you would have received in your council package, and to make council aware that the planning staff have received an application by Pivot Housing Solutions on behalf of South Shore Transition House Association for a text amendment to the land use bylaw. The request is to amend the definition of residential care facility, home for special care, group home, or small option homes to explicitly include survivors of gender-based violence as an eligible population group under this definition. The current definition limits residential care facilities to individuals with physical or intellectual disabilities. An amended definition would affect permissions in multiple zones throughout the town. Currently, residential care facilities, homes for special care, or group homes consisting of 5 or fewer residents are considered to be a single unit dwelling and are therefore permitted as of right in all residential zones. Larger residential care facilities consisting of 6 or more residents are currently permitted by site plan or development agreement in several institutional and commercial zones, which you will see listed in the application briefing there. So an initial review of the application has been done by planning staff. The application requires a thorough review by engineering and planning staff against the criteria of policy IM6 and other relevant policies as identified in the report that you've received. A public meeting, public participation meeting has now been confirmed for July 30th. And following this meeting, any further revisions to the proposal, staff will provide a full report, an analysis of the proposed draft LUB amendments at a future meeting of council. If given consideration by council, the application will then proceed to public hearing. Staff will present a final report and recommendations at that time.
Any questions, Deputy Mayor?
Could these be separate? They seem very different to me, and like they don't belong together in one, let's see, bylaw, land use bylaw. Could they be looked at separately?
So the populations be looked at under separate definitions. It could certainly be considered through the analysis process.
Okay. Yeah, I would like to have more information about that because they seem extremely different to me.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah, can you just elaborate? I'm just.
Well, and maybe I'm misunderstanding and need more information, but my expectation of of our current definition is that it's typically long-term with staff that provide assistance, whereas I'm thinking that this is more short-term emergency use, a higher turnover, it's a different population, maybe different security considerations. I'm not sure. So that's information that I'm just missing at this point, and whether they should be separate and considered separately because there are different considerations, or if they should just all be together because they're exactly the same.
Right. Yeah, and certainly the security is a concern with survivors of domestic violence, and there is a certain level of security that would be considered in that type of housing. It is a transitional housing type. Those stays can certainly vary as well.
Right. Yeah. So just more. I just need more information.
Okay. No. Thanks. No. Now I understand that. Yes, that makes sense. Yep. Okay.
And that would come back as part of the analysis
Absolutely.
report to give council options on how you may be able to accommodate the amendment request within your land use bylaw.
Yeah, certainly at this stage, that deeper analysis hasn't taken place yet.
That's very helpful. Thank you. That's cool.
There's reference in the report to other municipalities looking at this issue, so how are they handling this?
Yeah, that is a good question. The applicant did include a couple of definitions within their own land use bylaws. If I remember correctly, one was the town of Lunenburg, and I apologize, the second is escaping me. Their definitions, honestly, as I remember them, have moved away from identifying particular populations that they're serving under these types of uses, and are more focused on generally the type of service that's being provided, perhaps the term of stay, that type of thing. So they, as I remember it in their examples, weren't specifically focused on the population groups themselves as much as the service that was being provided through that housing type.
Okay, good question. Other questions?
I think this is obvious, but I think from speaking to somebody involved in the project in Ottawa, we were just going to cross paths in the hallway, so it was very brief. This is a temporary location, and so if they sold this property, it would be rezoned and somebody else could move in, an organization that we're not familiar with, and it would be changed and be open for any use that would be considered gender-based violence.
So the application as we've received it would apply to all residentially zoned areas within the town. It would not be specific to any particular property.
Okay, right. Okay,
It's a text amendment to land.
It's not a
definition
rezoning
within the
for
land use
a
bylaw.
parcel.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Any questions? Excuse me. If you think of questions, please make sure you send them through the CAO to get answers as this works its way through. Okay, great. Thank you. 11.9, tender 25-01E, supply and delivery of new articulating municipal tractor or sidewalk plow. We're just going to call it municipal tractor. I don't want to talk about snow. We're under a heat warning.
Good evening again. So the staff are here tonight to seek council's direction on the award of tender 25-01E and determine the future of the existing 1999 sidewalk plow. We've included the purchase of a new sidewalk plow in the 25-26 budget to replace our aging fleet. 3 bids were received and which were evaluated for price and technical compliance. Staff are recommending the award to Saunders Equipment Limited for the amount of $262,366 plus HST, or $272,485.45 net HST, because they are the highest rated submission. Staff are also recommending to retain the 1999 trackless, more for emergency or spare parts, because they only offer $2,000 for trade-in. We think that if after the winter season, it's probably worth more surplus through our own sale, and we might get a benefit of having it as an emergency. This recommendation is based on the award being within the approved budget of $285,000 at HST. There is a remaining of about $12,000 for radios, decals, etc. Unfortunately, there's not sufficient funds to purchase the icebreaker that was part of the plan through the last ice storms. So staff will add that to a future year's budget. And it does align with the council endorsed 10-year capital plan. Certainly having sidewalk plows are integral to maintaining our sidewalks for accessibility during the summer or during the winter. But we also use the sidewalk plows for watering our flowers, sweeping our sidewalks, and maintaining our trails with the flail mower attachment. So staff again are recommending to approve the award to Saunders Equipment and to retain the 1999 trackless, sidewalk plow for at least another year. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions from Councilor Wynant?
The icebreaker, is that what it's called?
Correct.
Just that can be added after?
Yeah, so there's multiple, these units have multiple attachments, which we could look at as augmenting our existing service levels, that being one, and we can buy it at any time. The approximate cost was around $30,000. Okay. So unfortunately, we focus on buying our sidewalk plow and the milling unit, so we can mill small asphalt patches more than the ice, because we would use those attachments more frequently than the icebreaker at this point.
And my other question, the old one, the 99, still works as of, you haven't probably used it in a couple of...
No, it still works. It was if you can remember, maybe this council or lot, staff did state that we would come back each time we were looking at replacing the unit to give council the option to either keep or surplus or trade in. And in this case, it still works. It still has value of more than $2,000 to us operationally at this point. I'd rather have it in the yard and available. And I believe there's probably around a $2,500 operation and maintenance account already built for that equipment that we may not need, but it's there just in case.
And this would be the regular life expectancy of a piece of it, like 25 years-ish?
We are looking through our asset management program under the Deputy CAO, looking at our lifespan. This unit would far exceed what we'd want to push. I think we were looking at a 15-year turnaround, but I think that through some of the tenders we've seen thus far, the length of time getting the units, the availability of parts, if one is still functioning, we try to maximize its use for as long as we can, understand that we still have an asset management program to fully develop.
Yeah. Thanks, Matt.
You're welcome.
The question, Councilor Collin.
I'm just wondering, a question for council, I guess, is given our changing winter conditions and how ice has become such an issue on sidewalks, if we want to consider finding money before next fiscal year for an icebreaker.
Yeah. Pre-budget approval as we get closer to the...
What's the
turnaround time for ordering it?
The delivery for the unit itself is, I think, 8 weeks was quoted in the tender certificate. In terms of the icebreaker, staff would have to find that out. We just knew that when we put the money in the budget, the plan was to buy that attachment. As we had discussions with prospective bidders prior to issuing the tender, we knew our budget wasn't going to be sufficient enough to purchase one, so we just have a quoted price by one supplier around $30,000. And I'm sure that we could probably get a turnaround in similar 8 to 10 weeks if you wanted to purchase it.
So
But that would have to be verified.
And the,
Yeah, probably where Councillor Collin was going is perhaps returning with a request for pre-budget approval after maybe some costing.
I can certainly, the staff were more than willing. We were just trying to make sure we were adhering to budget with the key pieces.
Yeah.
We can certainly come back with a quote from the suppliers who it adapts quickly to. There may be other suppliers that can provide the unit, but then you have to make an adapter to their adaptation. So it's not always easy. So we'd have to kind of work with the current suppliers for this unit to find the price.
I think coming back with that information to council and allowing us to make that decision would probably be smart. And if it does nothing more than assure that it never creates any ice on any of our sidewalks, because it's like, when you buy a snow blower that it doesn't snow for years, maybe that's what'll happen and everyone will be very grateful.
Well, what I would say is at the time of budgeting in my own notes is yes, there could be an ice storm, but we also know that we do experience water main breaks all year long. So there is some concern with any icing that may happen from that need to be chipped in isolated areas. So it would be beneficial. At this point, we use our backhoe to remove that ice. So we do have options, but I know that we've experienced, it would be useful to have this attachment.
Yeah. So if I would return with that, and that'd be.
Okay.
Councilor Wynot.
This may be a really silly question. Do these come equipped already to dump the salt as well, or is that another attachment?
This is the attachment that's included in the price.
It's included,
yes.
Okay.
So you don't need another attachment for that attachment, right? Or can you use that attachment for the...
We can, right now, with this unit, it's compatible with all of our existing units and our watering or sand or salt, flail mower, and various plows that we may have.
Go gadget tractor.
I drive it.
Yeah. What's the wish of council? Councillor Wynot.
I move that the town council for the town of Bridgewater award tender number 25-01E for the supply and delivery of a new articulating municipal tractor, sidewalk plow, and the specified attachments and apparatuses to Saunders Equipment Limited at a cost of $262,366 plus HST, which equates to $272,485.45 net HST.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Newell. Further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Those opposed? Motion is carried.
Thank you.
Down to appointments to Parks, Recreation, and Active Transportation Advisory Committee. Got a number of wonderful citizens willing to step up and serve. Is someone prepared to make that motion? Deputy Mayor, thank you.
I move that Town Council for the Town of Bridgewater appoint, effective immediately, the following citizens to the Parks, Recreation, Active Transportation Advisory Committee. Reappoint Matthew Himmelman for a second 3-year term ending March 31st, 2028. Appoint Christopher West to fulfill the remaining term for a citizen member ending March 31st, 2027. Appoint Veronica Gutierrez, I'm sorry, Veronica, if I pronounced that incorrectly, for a 2-year term ending July 31st, 2027. Appoint Kendra Ritzy for a 3-year term ending July 31st, 2028. Appoint Rhonda Haynes for a 3-year term ending July 31st, 2028. Appoint a former Active Transportation Committee member, Michael Graves, for a 2-year term ending July 31st, 2027. And appoint Lucy Bishop as a youth member for a 1-year term ending July 31st, 2026. And then we will have a full roster.
Wonderful,
and
thank
quorum.
you. All right, seconded by this side of the room, Councillor Wynot. All those in favor? Those opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you. Down to 11:11, you've got the June 2025 building permit report, which is a very exciting chart to look at. Looking at the number of units in the building permit list. 97 just for that one line. That's exciting and needed. So if you have any questions, please reach out through the CAO staff and they can go through that. And this is my time reminding the public that all the documents that we have in our agenda package are also publicly available on the town's website from start to finish with all the links, and you can click and all that information is there as well. Our second last item is a request from the Barracuda swim team for in-kind
support.
So this is a request for in-kind support for their swim meet, which occurs on July 19th from 7 to 6 p.m. So we provide this in-kind support annually. Normally it's under $500, so it is a in-kind support that is at the ability of staff to approve. In this case, it's estimated this year that the cost, although the work remains the same, it's just the cost of labor and that to support this is going to exceed the $500. And the in-kind support that we provide is we remove the pool slide, and we have to reinstall that after we remove it, but we remove it for the event. We relocate and set up bleachers, tables, and chairs, and cones, and barricades around the property to help guide the public coming to the site. It's estimated that that in-kind cost would be around $700 if we were able to perform it all during working hours. If we're not able to accommodate it all during working hours, which would probably be the removal of the slide, we anticipate that that cost could go up to $1,100. So that's just because it's after hours, some of it's after hours work. So the recommendation would be that council authorize or approve the in-kind support for this event up to the $1,100.
Any questions of the CAO on that? Someone prepared to make a motion? Councilor Newell?
I move that Town Council for the Town of Bridgewater approve in-kind support in the amount of $1,100 for the 2025 Barracuda Swim Meet scheduled for July 19th, 2025.
Thank you. Seconded by Deputy Mayor McDonald. All those in favor? Those opposed? Motion is carried. And we should put that on the announcements that there's a swim meet on July 19th at the outdoor pool. Everybody welcome to watch. Our last item is our discussion session notes from June 16th. In that meeting, we discussed our new cybersecurity software, and which council, I'm sure you've all completed all your courses and done exceptionally well. And also we talked like the first kind of discussion on housing incentive grant and tax phase-in, and this will be a discussion that continues to come back to council as we move that forward. And again, all this is available on the town's website. We have an in-camera meeting following this meeting under Section 22(2)A in the Municipal Government Act. And our next council meeting is the second week in August. So with that, can I have August 11th? Thank you, Amanda. And motion to adjourn, please. Councilor Newell, seconded by Councilor Fagier. We are adjourned.